everyone and welcome. Before I talk about anything book related, I just wanted to acknowledge a few housekeeping things. First of all, I'm sure you can notice that the setting has drastically changed. Well, that's because of a very particular reason that's connected to like three things that I'm gonna say. Is that if you haven't seen me mention it in previous videos, we are purchasing a house at the moment, and while it is still tied up in the legal bureaucracy hell of solicitors bouncing our house in between their email chains for weeks at a time without response, we're hoping to potentially, hopefully, finally get a move-in date and move in the next month or two. Fingers crossed. This has been going since the end of January is when we made an offer, and it's already May, so we're a bit tired of it. We're aware that this stuff takes a while and we knew what we were signing up for, but at the same time we're just like, can this just be done now? We're ready, we want to move. So we have pretty much the whole floor of this room covered with boxes and bags and whatnot, and if I sat in my normal spot, it would just it wouldn't be aesthetic, it would be visually distracting. So I thought, you know what, I'll sit here and fingers crossed for at least, you can see a few books here, you can see some white wall there, it's a bit of a balance, empty space. Which, speaking of, I'm sure you can see that the shelves look a lot emptier. I have packed up all the books that I have read and only left my unread ones, which still, there's 90 of those. I have a problem, stacks of shame everywhere. But the idea was that obviously I needed to know how much space they would take packed up. So for any videos that I might make, I am just going to edit the book cover on screen for now, and then go back to my usual method of holding the book up and then talking about it while I'm holding it as I unpack as we go, which then again ties into the whole thing. Obviously, I have no idea how often I'll be able to upload and how often I'll be able to sort out videos until we move and until everything is sorted, because I want to invest in a proper setup of a tripod, a camera, a nice ring light. I just want to have something that looks a bit more crisp and clean and professional, because up until this point I've been using my fiance's computer. Oh, hello baby. So I've been using his computer with his webcam and his mic and whatnot, and I'm refilming this particular video because for the fourth time in the last 9 months, I have had sound issues post recording a video. I have no idea why. We looked at the settings, we figured we deactivated stuff, we figured out what to do, where on the app that I used to record on his computer, and for some reason, every time... You mind? Well, maybe not every time, but enough times now, I spend stop 2 hours recording or whatever, and then I play the clips back and there's just this massive echo. And especially this last time now, I uploaded the video, I think the other week, and a friend messaged me saying, girl, your video, it just bounces off the echo the whole time, you can't listen to it. And then I checked the clips I haven't edited at that point, and they're all the same. Literally, I start talking, and then 3 seconds later, some sort of echo of me just, it seems like I'm in the cave talking back at myself or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, as I said, this has happened before, and we went into settings and it seemed to have been sorted, and then I logged on to film the last time I did it, like I said, in 25-degree heat, full face of makeup for 2 hours, and that whole footage was unusable. even though it didn't flag up to me that any other mics were potentially connected, and I checked all the settings like my fiance showed me to do, and we've not changed those settings, so it shouldn't have done that since the last time that we did that. But yeah, I hope this makes sense, because it's really frustrating. I'm sure for anyone it's frustrating, but for me especially, it's such a trigger for me to waste time redoing something exactly how I did it for some stupid reason, because I can't use the footage or the, I don't know, the work or whatever else. Like, I just hate wasting time and having to redo things for no benefit of improving, but purely to, do you mind? But purely to correct a mistake. And I know you learn from mistakes, but these sort of mistakes with technology, you serious? They don't feel like something that I can particularly learn from when I don't get flagged by the computer that there's a second mic connecting or something like that. You get what I mean? So yeah, I probably should have double checked it, but it is hard to check something that you don't know you should check, because it was fine the last few times. So yeah, basically I am filming with my phone for now, just because I just cannot be bothered to refilm videos constantly, especially with everything going on. I will probably barely have time to film as is. So yeah, I will do it with my phone for now, and then hopefully I can just kind of like get a bit of a revamp of the channel as is and have this like new equipment and all that. But how and when that happens, I will let you know, because obviously moving in and getting everything sorted is the priority. So yeah, now that all of that is done, I just needed to get all of that out there, I guess, because it's annoying. But yeah, that is why I look different than I do in my thumbnail. That's why I don't have a full face of makeup, because my skin, I don't necessarily feel like I need a full face of makeup to feel comfortable in my own body and whatnot, but it's nice to, like, you know, glam up a bit if you're filming. But I'm redoing this video, and I didn't plan to film today, but I just thought, you know, I have some spare time during my lunch, so I will sort it out. So yeah, that's why I don't have a full face of makeup and why I look different and all that. So now, onto the books, which are psychological horror / thriller / suspense recommendations. My original video only featured the horror books, but I thought, you know what? I also have enough psychological thrillers to talk about, but I don't want to make two videos that are just like the same psychological themes. So I am just going to combine them. I think there might be like, there's definitely over 10 books. I think there might be like maybe 12, 13 books there. So I will just talk you through, maybe not the plot in so much detail, because I've talked about all these books in the past in a lot of detail in different videos, but I will tell you why I think they're good for the psychological element. And yeah, let's get on. So I'll start with the horror books first, and then I'll tell you about the thrillers. So in case you're only interested in the thrillers, you can skip forward a bit and you will have those recommendations. If you're only interested in horror, you can just watch that part of the video, you know, whatever suits your needs, or you can just watch all of it. That'd be nice too. So the first book is a new horror release of this year, and that is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I feel like pretty much every booktuber that is relevant in any way, that keeps up with the new trends, or even those who don't, they have talked about it. And I'm not gonna add anything new because I've spoken about this book myself. So just a quick summary. This is a cannibalist folk horror about a mother and a daughter relationship where they lured these people into their home in unspecified rural area, people who are lost, and they basically kill them and consume them. Where does the psychological horror aspect come in here? Well, for me, everything in their dynamic changes when mother gets in this relationship with another woman who was originally supposed to just be one of their kills. and their relationship blossoms into something quite toxic in a way that is detrimental to our main character. And it really reminded me of situations I hear about online about kids in like lower socioeconomic backgrounds with parents who are either alcoholics or they're gamblers, or they're just maybe they're also mothers stuck in abusive relationships, but they're refusing to see that this relationship is abusive, and they're choosing to put their kids in unsafe environments because they're prioritizing this man or woman in their lives. I thought that part was really heartbreaking for me, and I think that because this book's not perfect, I think if not for this aspect, I probably would have given it like a 3.5. I gave it a 4.5, but to me that aspect really spoke to, like, it tugged my heartstrings, and I just felt so sad for the main character and for any children who experience that sort of thing in real life, because I just don't think that's fair on anyone involved. And that is basically why I think that it's a psychological horror just as much as it's like a folk or like body cannibalism horror, because it goes into this detail of a mother-daughter already very messed up relationship completely unraveling because the mother is choosing to put someone else first over her daughter, and then resents said daughter for being there and not letting her go on that romantic adventure journey. So yeah, that is The Lamb. And then the next recommendation I have is Mrs. Jekyll by Emma Glass. Personally, one of my favorite reads of this year. It's quite a short one as well, and it follows a woman who has been diagnosed with a terminal cancer, and she is trying to process this information and kind of still enjoy whatever time she has left while making arrangements. But then she kind of, well, in case you can't tell from the title, it's a homage to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Louis Stevenson, I believe. So yeah, it's very much so a bit of a rage manifesting in a literal different entity of the main character. It is very fever dream vibe. It is very kind of makes you turn around and be like, what did I just read sort of thing. Why do I think it's psychological? Well, because it deals with a lot of thinking and a lot of philosophy of themes of dying and being ill, not having a graceful exit, so to speak, because our main character is deteriorating from her illness, but she can't really choose what she wants to do about it. She's kind of forced to suffer, and I found that there's a lot of that existential dread as well, which is definitely something that a lot of us can relate to. So I would definitely recommend that if you're okay with like a bit of writing that might not read very well put together to a complete picture until after you finish it. Because I know that Cass from Meg's Discord said that she couldn't get fully into it, which is fair enough. So that's not one, but two books, sorry. And the next one is Pen Pal by Dathan Arbach. And if I were to recommend any horror out of these that I'm about to talk about, this would probably be the one if you were only going to read one, because this one is adapted from a Reddit No Sleep forum, and it follows this unnamed narrator who discovers that his childhood was completely different from what he originally imagined, because he realizes that he had a stalker throughout his child to teen years who was obsessed with him through an unfortunate project of a pen pal where the kids of the school, they let off balloons with a picture and the address of their school. I don't know, to me that whole idea seems flawed. But basically, the person who finds the balloon and responds to our narrator and protagonist, they don't have the best intentions. So, yeah. plot-wise, I mean, there are some things about this book that, like, with the plot and, like, some reveals towards the end that will make you go, like, a bit, huh? Like, does that make sense? But ultimately, it's for the vibes, it's for the dread, it's for the atmosphere, it's for... Because we're with the character along the story, piecing bits and pieces from his life together and having that realization that this completely minor random thing might have been something huge, and we were shielded from it, but now we're realizing just in how much danger we were constantly in. And I think, to me personally, I prefer real life horror, which I know is kind of it's hard to find, because, like, I would say 80% of horror is supernatural, and I have plenty of favorites in that as well, but it's more like for the story and the characters and entertainment, occasional creep maybe. But when it comes to actually feeling dreadful and actually feeling terrified, real life stuff, like stalkers, psychopaths, like murderers, like that sort of thing, that home invasions, that's what actually creeps me out and, like, dreads me, scares me, terrifies me. So, considering that this book has no supernatural element, in the end, it's not really a spoiler, but it's just how the story is, like, its genre. So I found that the scariest out of them all. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend this one if you can just get past behind, like, a couple writing quips here and there. Then the next one I have is Rouge by Mona Awad. This is a weird girl lit ficky horror surreal imagery about Belle, whose mother passes away suddenly and leaves her with a ton of debt and this kind of relationship with what is a beauty cult, essentially. And Belle kind of just throws herself into it, and she just completely loses herself with these people. It is definitely a book you need to sit with, because it's written in a way to confuse you sometimes with its events and its images and sequences. It took me over a week to read it, which is not like me, because I like to binge books, but I just felt like I needed to sit with it, because some passages, they went over my head a bit. So yeah, if you like that sort of writing, I think you will be genuinely creeped out. And there's a lot of, like, commentary about stuff that it doesn't feel forced, by the way. It's just organic within the story. But there's commentary on there that, when you think about it, it's kind of creepy in itself. Commentary about beauty and aging and about cult mentality in general. Especially this one figure that, I mean, Mona Awad wasn't being very subtle with that, but I found it kind of, like, hilarious in a morbid way. I'm not gonna make comments about it, because yeah, you know, you'll understand what I mean if you read it. So that is Rouge. And then the next one is Bad Dolls by Rachel Harrison. This is a short story collection. Rachel Harrison is well known for being, like, a cozy horror queen, because she chooses character dynamics and, like, real life thoughts and feelings over, like, over the top scares. I think I've only read this and So Thirsty, so I still, you know, I might be eating my words about stuff, because I have a few of hers to go yet. But just from this one, if you're looking, like, to be actually terrified in terms of, like, gore and suspense, whatever, you're not gonna get that here, but you're gonna get some interesting character work, which is why I think it fits the psychological angle, because you have friendships falling apart, body image issues, you have grief, you have relationship struggles framed under, like, a bit of a creepy lens. So I thought that it was a fun collection. It wasn't anything to, like, wow, this is, like, a masterpiece, but, like, it was really good still, and I enjoyed it. And then I also have Petrified Women by Jeremy Bay, I believe. And it's a novella, literally 90 pages long, about Harley, whose boyfriend is a prick. And he does these practical jokes that are really just torture devices on her, but she's kind of gaslighted herself into, oh, like, he's so funny, he's so humorous, I'm so in love, like we're meant to be. So she decides, you know what, I'm gonna prank him back, and I'm gonna basically like hide in his flat on his birthday to surprise him. But then he brings another woman back to his flat, and then bad things happen. So I'm not going to tell you anymore because it's less than 100 pages, and it's very uncomfortable. And again, a lot of it, apart from like the very end, is also real life horror, and it's a lot of just realizing that the person you're with is not who you thought they were in like the worst possible way. And there were some also really triggering scenes that featured a sexual assault as well. So I would check that if you're very sensitive to that stuff. But apart from that, I do think that it's a worthy read that had me on the edge of my seat for like most of its runtime. And the 6 horror books that I wanted to talk about. So now we can move on to psychological thrillers and suspense. For psychological thrillers, we have The Push by Ashley Audrain, which was in my top 3 books of the year last year. It's about a woman who never wanted kids because of generational trauma that she experienced with her mother, who experienced trauma with her mother before that. And she still has a kid because she feels like that's what her husband wants and she wants to make him happy. But the kid, she doesn't feel connection with it. And she feels like there's something wrong with this child that she gave birth to. And it's so much more than some kind of like an evil child thriller. It's about expectations on women in regards to motherhood. How you're not allowed to feel ungrateful or express any type of annoyance about it. It's only the most rewarding thing ever, about how it can affect your relationship, how it can, ruin your romance, and how it can, the whole emotional labor that comes with the fact that even to this day, women still carry way more of it in terms of any like childcare and stuff like that. So yeah, I've talked about it immensely. There's a lot to unpack with this book. If you can stomach it, or if like topics of motherhood interest you in any possible way, then do check this one out. And then the next one is The Perfect Girlfriend by Karen Hamilton. Very like switching it up, because this one is just kind of like an unhinged, obsessed woman thriller that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's about this woman who she becomes a stewardess to be with her pilot boyfriend, like be in the same firm as him, except that he dumped her 6 months ago because they were moving too fast and he found her too suffocating, which, well, she's not exactly rebuffing his case here. And this one is just, it's like a very, so obviously I'm sure that all of us, most of us, they at least have heard of the show You and the book series by Caroline Kepnes. So this kind of felt a little bit like You, but a lot more tongue-in-cheek and comedic, and with obviously a female character. Because the way that she deludes herself into thinking that she's in the right, and the way that she almost tricks you as a reader so that you almost root for her, I thought that was really interestingly done in terms of the whole psychological aspect of how can a person like that make you kind of also almost root for her. So yeah, for like a trashy popcorn thriller, I had a great time with it. So I would definitely recommend if that's what you're looking for. Then another one, I personally didn't give it a high rating. I think I gave it a 3-star, but I do have a rule with these videos that even if it wasn't my personal favorite, or I personally wouldn't go out of my way to recommend it in a general setting, if I think that it fits this trope, I will give people a heads up in the video and recommend it anyway, because you might like it. Unless it's like a 1-star or like a 1.5, whatever, then I wouldn't recommend those books to anybody. But this one is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. So far it's been my only dud of hers, and even that, I mean, I don't know, did I give it a 3 because it's Ruth Ware? Because I know a lot of people say she's like just a mid-author, but for me, her books have been really working. As you know, I've ranked all of them 4.5 or 5 stars apart from this one. And this follows this woman who was attacked. Someone broke into her house and she is really struggling to sleep. And then she gets invited by her work, because she's like a journalist, to go on this boat cruise thing, like across Scandinavian waters and stuff, like near Scandinavian islands. You know how like next to Norway, like there's like a bunch of like little islands. I think that's roughly where they went. So it's really cold, really creepy, sort of. And she sees this woman being thrown overboard on her first night there. And in the morning, she tries to get help from like the staff and whatnot. And they're like, there's no one under that name on a guest list. Are you sure you're not just imagining it? Because, you know, you're traumatized and you're having alcohol-related intake issues. So you get what I mean. It is very much sort of like unreliable narrator type of thriller, whether or not, you know, she's imagining it, if it's all in her head sort of thing. And I know that for a lot of people, this trope is tiring, but just in case it is something that you enjoy, I mean, I've read better books that do this sort of trope, but I also read way worse. So yeah, it's somewhere in the middle, take it or leave it. If you're interested in Ruth Ware's writing, you might as well pick this one up. I'm not sure why this is the one that's getting a movie adaptation, but it has Keira Knightley in it, so I might be swayed. We'll see. So there's that one. Then you have The Catch by T.M. Logan, about a father who thinks that there is something very seriously wrong with his daughter's fiance. And we spent a huge chunk of the book thinking, well, is he right? Or is he just being a super protective father? And from what I gather, T.M. Logan is that sort of author. His books are quite thick. They're all like 400 something pages, but it reads very quickly. And his writing style is kind of like a bit simplistic, which is not a bad thing because it's very plot driven. But I think that he did a really good job in this book showing how both sides could be correct in terms of there's just enough for you to think, is there something sketchy about this guy? But there's a whole other side where the father is not putting a good case for himself as to why he's acting a certain way. So you get what I mean. It's very, I thought that was quite well done. You could argue that the last like quarter kind of falls a bit, but I talked about it in my review, I think, for December and January when I did it. So yeah, I would recommend if you're looking for like a bit of like back and forth, again, what's reliable, who can I trust sort of thing. So that's that. Then I have, I'm just trying to remember, yes, that one. Sorry, I had them written down, but I can't now see because I'm filming with my phone. But it is Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. It's kind of like a literary thriller, I think, about a woman who someone breaks into her home and she and her kids hide in kind of like a bit of a crawl space. Think Panic Room situation with Jodie Foster, and Kristen Stewart. If you have seen that movie. So yeah, basically she realized that she recognizes the person who broke into her home. And it's the case of, again, an unreliable narrator, woman with severe issues. But this one, it's done quite masterfully in a way that all of the potential plot holes or like problems, they're all covered. Like, you have them covered to the T. It's the case of everything is taken care of, everything's acknowledged. It's a smart thriller that knows what it wants to say, and it covers its tracks to get there in a way that makes perfect sense looking back. But it still has you guessing as you're reading. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. If you're someone who doesn't like thrillers, because you think they might be like just popcorn crap, definitely check that one out, because it's a lot more than that. And on that note, Another literary thriller that I also think you should check out is Mad Woman by Chelsea Beaker. It's about a woman who is a mother, but she has a dark secret of her like past and her life catching up to her, as her mother, who is in jail for murdering her abusive father, is reaching out to her for help getting acquitted. And our main character, she doesn't want to be involved in that. She doesn't want to remember because she's worried what she might unlock. And the writing of this one is impeccable. It gives a lot of commentary on generational trauma, on domestic abuse, on motherhood, on patterns of abuse, responses to that we then repeat onto others, creating this circle. It's very in-depth, and while it does have thriller-like twists, they don't feel like something so forced coming out of the left field that you're like, what is happening here, sort of thing. This is dumb. Like, nothing like that. So I would definitely recommend that one along with Night Watching for like more sophisticated thrillery feel. And then to finish off, I wouldn't call this one a thriller, really, because it's more like transgressive fiction, but it has a little bit of everything. It has lit fic, it has thriller aspects, it has some horror aspects. It's a character study. It's full on like transgressions of society. It's literally think whatever you can think of covered in one book, and somehow it all comes together pretty seamlessly, and that is The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis. So it's a fake autobiographical novel. So Bret inserts himself into the novel, but he's the only real thing about it. Everything else is made up. So he is in this private school in LA, Malibu, with his friends. It's all like prep, like think Gossip Girl / Euphoria, but in LA, like rich kids doing drugs constantly, no parental supervision. And Bret thinks that this serial killer called the Trawler, who kidnaps young women and brutally kills them, is trying to infiltrate himself into his school and his friend group and go after those that he says he cares about. And yeah, it is very, like I said, I feel like there's enough of different aspects in this book that it would appeal to a lot of people, but it also depends whether or not you can get behind Bret's writing style, because obviously it is very unique, it is very him. So I would say do your research, just check like if it's something you would enjoy. It was a huge success in Reading with Meg's book club, but again, if you think that over descriptive, sort of like really morbid and extreme, but also like tongue-in-cheek satire style, if it's not for you, then you're probably not gonna enjoy it. But if it's something that you would like, but do be aware that this one is nearly 600 pages. So if you're not into long books, then this is probably not the one. But I thought that it needed mentioning because I thought it was pretty more or less a perfect book. So yeah. And these are all the books that I wanted to recommend you in terms of psychological aspects. And I hope that you liked it. If you read any of them, do let me know what you thought. And there'll definitely be a video like this in the future because I always like reading about psychology and like human conditions and all that in